If you could say, if you were to be able to talk to a young man and look him in the eye, what would be the most important thing, or what would be the best method you could communicate to him to create that self-acceptance and that self-love? Because we're not raised that way.
No.
Mm-mm.
No. I think it takes, you have to understand what your current position is. Another great book is Self-Deception. The Box, Nightingale, I think it is. I don't remember exactly, but self-deception, getting out of the box. But the key is you have to have an accurate understanding of where you're at right now.
Your strengths, your weaknesses, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's an inventory.
If you're lost in the wilderness and you have a map, you have a coordinate of where you want to go. So your goal, your vision, your goal, you can have the map, you can have a compass, you can have the best books, the best mentors, you can have a goal. And if you don't know exactly where you're at, you're lost.
Yeah.
If you can't be honest with where you're really at, it doesn't matter where you're going because you're lost to start.
Sure.
Because you think you're here and you want to go here, but really you're here.
Yeah.
You have to be honest, like no bullshit. Am I into porn? Yes or no? Do I do things that build my body? Yes or no? Am I drinking every day? Yes or no? Do I need drugs to satisfy whatever it is? Yes or no? You have to take an accurate assessment of where you're at with no bullshit. And then you can plan your course. It doesn't matter how clear your vision is if you're not honest with where you're really at. Like with my weight. Okay, I'm fat and overweight. Okay, that's where I'm at. I need to know where I'm at. I need to know my caloric, expenditures per day, my resting heart rate, blah, blah, blah. But if I'm pretending that I'm not really on and honest with where I'm at with my health and my weight, it doesn't matter how good I want to get if I'm pretending to be something I'm not. So I think really the first step for a young man or a young woman, and what I've tried to teach my kids too, is to think it, is to create it. And you have to start with, where am I? Honestly. And what's so cool about this too is that I could look at somebody's checking account. If I said to Topher, show me your checking account right now, I could tell based on what's in your checking account some of your beliefs about money because of the result. You can tell some of my beliefs about food because of the result. Like, by the way, Rob, you're looking hot. You're like muscle. You're getting ripped.
Thanks.
Dude, right here, brother.
Appreciate that. Oh, man, that's great.
Yep. So
I had to change my beliefs. I'm down 120 pounds. I had to change those beliefs about who I was. The one thing, it's interesting that you should say that. I used to tell a lot of fat guy jokes about myself. And you know who suffered those fat guy jokes? I did. I was saying it, and my body was hearing it, feeling it, and I was manifesting it. And I had to put that away. I had a friend pull me aside, and she said, her name was Sheila. She said, Rob, you got to quit talking about my friend like that. My belief was that I was overweight and I was unhealthy, and that it was okay for me to have an extra slice of cake or whatever the thing was. I had no care about my caloric intake or my protein or all of the things. And it was this one shift when she pulled me aside and she said, you got to quit talking to my friend like that. And I had this moment of like, well, shit, if Sheila cares more about me than I care about me, then there's a real problem there. That was one of my big, like, truthful with myself. Like, okay, here we are.
It's kind of cool, or not cool, but amazing about that. It's all perspective, right? The story that you're telling yourself, what you believe. Okay, when you came in and I said, Trent, I meant that as a term of endearment. You're the only person I know that makes Rob look small, and that wasn't a fat thing.
No, I know.
To me, it was like, as a former athlete, I appreciate large humans. Okay, like I do. I didn't have it. If I had 6 more inches, maybe my story would have been a little different. And so the perspective of everything and changing how you're talking to yourself, all of that stuff matters, because just 2 different opinions looking at one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, and so
great advice.
Getting a real accurate and honest, and so reading that book, Self-Deception, I think it's called. Maybe you could look that up.
Did you read? I mean, it's the same thing as extreme ownership. It's everything. You just own exactly what it is. I find that very freeing.
Yeah.
You know, to take, because taking ownership of it, that means you can do something about it.
Yeah, and you're not a victim.
No.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yeah. Oh, it's my genetics. It's how it is. It's my age. It's no. It's your decision every day. And and I think that applies to a lot of things, not just our fitness. I mean, it's everything. It's just me deciding finally, like, okay, I've had enough of this shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what that line is for people. It's always different. Everybody has a different bottom or rock bottom, whatever you want to call that, where they're like, okay, I have to do something extreme for some extreme results. The second thing for me was going to the doctor. I had this old family doctor, and he looked me in the eye and he said, if you keep it up, you're going to be dead by the time you're 40. That means you don't get to walk your kids down the aisle. And I was just like, you could have just told me I need to cut back on my M&Ms. That would have been nice. But it worked. I needed someone to tell me, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And it got my attention. And I remember the first time I wanted to run around my block, I lived in kind of the middle of the block. I ran to the curb, the corner, and I had to sit down. I walked home. I didn't go the rest of the way around the block. So I started just walking, walking and giving up soda, which here I am drinking me a nice, delicious Mountain Dew again. But it's
a podcast treat.
It's a special treat.
Yeah.
But it's those little things.
And also when we do have, a Mountain Dew or we have a piece of cake, that we don't criticize and beat ourselves up.
Yes.
We say, okay, that's what happened. It is what it is. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
And not hold and carry that.
Rob, why would somebody want to watch this podcast?
Why wouldn't you? We have a good time. You're going to learn something. And by the way, it's awesome. You should click it. You should watch it. Thanks for tuning in.
Subscribe right now.